Hi, I'm LaRob Rafael, founder and artistic director of Hearing and Color. I'm joined today by the fabulous Gwen Maramba, who happens to be our very first young composer for our inaugural Young Composer Residency partnership with the all women ensemble La Caccina. This is an opportunity for us to diversify the choral world, diversify choral composers, and we thought that it was best that we start with the youngest and brightest minds, not only here in Chicago, but globally. So, Gwen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, tell me a little bit about you. Just who is Gwen Maramba?
Yeah, so I am 18 years old. I am studying vocal performance at University of Illinois, and I love music. It's kind of obvious, but I've been singing since I was like 3 years old. In my church choir, that's where I started, but also doing karaoke to High School Musical.
Oh, we love High School Musical.
My favorite.
Yeah.
And I'm just really happy to have this opportunity to express myself and express my ideas in music. And I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I think we are all really super excited. And so you've already kind of composed a little bit for La Caccina. Can you tell me a little bit about how that happened?
Yeah, so last year for Merit School of Music, we had an assignment where we had to arrange a piece of music, and I chose Make You Feel My Love. And I arranged an a cappella SSAA arrangement of that. And La Caccina made a demo of that.
Yeah.
It was so cool to hear a professional ensemble sing my work. And that was the first arrangement that I notated and everything. All of my other arrangements were just like in my voice memos.
Yeah.
Nothing really official. So it was so cool.
That's awesome. And so did Carling then say to you, hey, I think you've got the gift, you should do this more? How did that happen afterwards?
Yeah, so she emailed me with my grade, and she was like, I have like an SSAA ensemble that would love to do this piece. And I was like, yes, please do that.
Yeah.
It's like you don't even have to ask.
Yeah.
So yeah, she told me that I had like a good ear for arranging and like a good way of composing for women's voices and arranging.
It's awesome. It's happy to hear that there's kind of like a natural skill it seems like you might have had to just kind of do this type of composing. So you said that you were a singer and that you've been singing since you were young. What led you to want to like start to notate or even just voice record some of what you were able to create?
Yeah, so in my head, I don't know, I like sometimes just hear music, and I started notating my music. I was like in third grade. It was a piano piece. I still have, I like did it by hand. I still have it, and it's so funny to look at. So that was the first time I did it, and it just felt so cool to have it on paper.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just in my mind, it was like there. It was like official.
Oh, wow.
But I've been doing that. It's gotten like a little more complex than just like my different inversions of C chords.
Right. Yeah.
But that's how I started. But yeah, it's a lot easier with like electronic notation.
Yeah. And so obviously you might have studied classical music. You went to Merit School of Music, obviously. So you studied notation to some degree and the clefs and things, and that has helped a lot in what you're able to kind of write down, you feel like.
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
So then what are some of your influences? Who are composers even, or just artists that you listen to that you feel might influence some of your music?
Yeah. I'm kind of blanking right now.
No, that's
some
okay.
composers' names. But I really love like the more modern works, especially by like female composers, female identifying composers, and composers of color. Just like anything new, I love that because I love to hear like new takes on like old text, like old poetry, and I would love to say that there's like one kind of style that influences me, but it just is so much. It just is like a combination of like different styles
Yeah.
and time periods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in this process that we're doing with this young composer residency, there's kind of a process. We start with kind of the initial ideas, and then moving in towards choosing text, and then finding how to place that text in music. What do you think you're most excited about in that process?
I'm really excited about finding the text because once I do that,
Yeah.
everything can come together.
Oh.
So I've been looking. I found a few, but nothing that has like automatically drawn me in yet.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited for that. And then I'm excited to work with the ensemble
Mm-hmm.
to hear their input on like my composition.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for that. And then obviously working with you
Yeah.
and Carling.
Awesome. So, as you know, Hearing in Color's mission is really centered around diversifying classical music, and particularly removing the idea that the only people who get to create in this space are the typical classical music composers who are often white, who are often male, Eurocentric, etc. And, we want to highlight and amplify the experiences of composers, of performers, and artists who have, diverse experiences and who come from diverse backgrounds. Can you tell me a little bit about how your, experience as a Filipino woman inspires some of the work that you do, or will impact maybe even perhaps this piece?
Yeah, for sure. So I think it's really inspiring to go out and find other works by Filipino composers, because I used to think that there just like wasn't that much, that it was rare. But then when I looked for it, I realized that I was so wrong. It's commonly like not given much attention.
Yeah.
But it's definitely out there, and
Yeah.
those works are so good. Just for the works to be programmed regularly,
Mm.
not just during AAPI Heritage Month.
Right.
Just programmed into the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would really help.
Yeah, definitely. You actually mentioned to me once that you saw one of the performances that Hearing in Color put on. Can you tell me a little bit about just your experience seeing that show?
Yeah, I thought that was so cool because I kind of randomly found it on Facebook. It showed up in like suggested videos.
Wow.
So I watched it, and then I saw your name and I was like, hold up, I know him.
Yeah.
But it was so cool to see a community of Filipino people, musicians and artists,
Yeah.
putting on that production. And I
Yeah.
thought it was so cool to see the attention there, and that there was an audience who wanted to watch that.
Right. And like you said, it's not about performing that work during AAPI Heritage Month. It's really about really centering and grounding that work within the classical canon. I think we've spent a long time listening to the Beethovens and things like that, and it might be time for some kundiman. It might be time to hear the work of Filipino composers, the work of Black composers and Latinx composers. So I'm really excited that you found Kababayan. When you told me that, it really made me really happy, because I was like, oh my God. So that really made me happy. So thank you for tuning in.
Yeah.
I hope that we can include your compositions on the next Kababayan show, so we're going to be bothering you, right? Especially after this residency.
I would love that.
What do you feel like you bring to composition as a young composer that changes the narrative of what composers even are nowadays? What do you bring as a young composer?
Yeah. I think I kind of change the expectation. Because when I think of composers, I think of like kind of older people who have a ton of like education, and I think I kind of like I'm not exactly there yet. And I think that's like really cool because it shows that you don't have to be.
Mm-hmm.
It shows that if you have like a story to tell and you have like a love of music,
Mm-hmm.
you can kind of do like whatever you want. You can like set your goals high.
Yeah.
And I think I just bring like a different mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then when I compose, I'm not trying to like copy anyone or like copy the style of anyone. I kind of just write like what's in my head,
Mm-hmm.
like all the thoughts and everything.
Yeah.
So like I do have my role models, but I don't try to copy the style.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like that's so important, especially now, because we're having all of these different conversations about what even is classical music, what defines classical music. And when we think about composers especially, often there is this kind of rigidity, or there's this standard, if you will, that people feel like they have to rise to and be in order to even qualify themselves as a composer. But what you're saying is that you have this experience, you have, this artistic expression, and this is how you want to, communicate that with the world. And I'm so, so proud to hear that you are just doing it without feeling like you have to be qualified, or that, you have to wait until you get the degree and things. And that's what this is really about. It's about explaining or showing to the world that there is much more that is available to them outside of the purview of what we believe classical music should be. So thank you so much for taking part in this residency and being a part of just changing the narrative, changing what classical music can be for people who are not only in your generation, but people who are in, generations past and older, who will see this opportunity, who will see your compositions and hear your compositions and be like, wow, like this came from a very young, Filipino woman who had something to share, and hopefully inspire them to like want to support that more. So thank you, Gwen.
And thank you for that opportunity. Because before this, I always hesitated before calling myself a composer. Because I was like, I'm only a teenager. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to call myself that yet. But then when I saw like one of the newsletters and it said composer Gwen Maramba, I was like, that's the first time I've ever read that, and it felt so official. And yeah.
Well, I mean, and I'll tell you, when Carling, who's the artistic director for La Caccina, when she presented this to me, know that she didn't call you anything other than this young composer, Gwen Maramba, composed this amazing arrangement of Make You Feel My Love, and I want to support her. And when she said that, first of all, I know you from Youth Opera Council at Lyric, and so when she said Gwen Maramba, I was like, there can only be one Gwen Maramba, and it better be the one that I know. And so when she said that, I was like, we're gonna do this. Again, I'm LaRob K. Rafael, founder and artistic director for Hearing in Color. You can always support Hearing in Color by going to hearingincolor.org/support. And if you want to support Gwen Maramba, you will find her information right beneath this video. Have a great evening.